Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks video. And today we are on the 1.0.1 test server having a look or having a showcase with the new Italian tanks and its whole tree. So I guess the best will be if we start with the tier 10 tank and work our way down through the tech tree. So yeah, first and foremost we will have the Progetto M40 Mod 65 tier 10, well, pretty darn good medium tank. It is quite special nevertheless in the sense of, I'm just going to push these guys to the barracks so they're not destroying those values. Those are the base values, how you will see them with a tank gun rammer, with vents and with optics. I'm playing this tank, so I get those sweet 445 meters and more fuel range. The firepower is pretty decent. It has quite the generous, or should I say, burst damage. 360 alpha damage on its 105mm gun. You have 4 shots in your auto reloader, which you have 2.7 seconds in between to get out of your tank. Otherwise, if you need to fully reload your tank, you have 14 seconds for the first shot, 12 seconds for the second, 10 for the third, and 8 seconds for the fourth. And you can see in total you need 43.88 seconds reload time. And yes, the accuracy of the tank is actually pretty good, 0.32 or 0.33. 2.1 seconds aim time is a little bit long, but the tank in general, when it comes to accuracy on the move, was pretty decent. The gun elevation is -9 degrees in the front, or -9 degrees gun depression, and 20 degrees elevation, which is also pretty decent. The DPM is mediocre, but don't forget, you can actually fully utilize this consistent damage and burst damage of this vehicle. Penetration wise, the penetration of this vehicle is actually pretty good. 268mm of APCR penetration, 330mm of heat penetration, and 105mm of HE penetration. And I actually really like that you have such good HE penetration values. To the armor, I don't really have yet the tanks.gg stats, and I don't know what this is actually right now, but armor wise, I can tell you so far it's not pretty good. 50mm on the whole upper hull part, 40mm on the side, and 25 on the back, and 120mm on the turret. Chances are people will probably bounce because of the angle into the turret and then most likely penetrate because the turret armor is pretty weak. The mobility of this vehicle is pretty remarkable. 65 kilometers top speed, 18.59 HP to ton ratio, and 750 horsepower. It's pretty cool in that sense. The camouflage of this vehicle is also pretty good, 18.39% when it's standing, and with a fully utilized crew, if we put the crew back in it with camouflage crew, it goes up pretty good. I'm sorry for that little one. Obviously, when you are on the tester, we need to troll with this nice stage 2. Anyway, to the fuel range, it is 400. It has 400 meters of base fuel range, which is decent but could be better. In the end, the Progetto tier 8 tank, which you will get, has 400 meters already base, so there won't be much things which change around. But yeah, overall, pretty interesting and pretty cool vehicle. Other than that, you need 187,000 experience to get this vehicle. But now let's have a look at the standard B. Or, as you can see, it definitely is something like a Panther, a leopard prototype. And in that kind of sense, we'll have a look at the stats. It has 2 different gun options. It has the Cannon Da, or a 90mm gun, which is decent enough for tier 9 stock vehicles, but it is definitely not that good. What you are looking forward to is obviously the better gun, the 105mm gun. It is decently expensive when we go back into the tech tree. You need quite some experience to get that, 63,000 experience, and you can't mount it easily. You obviously need to get the trucks, which are an additional 25,000. Then you are able to get the big gun on it. And after that, you also need to get, as you could have seen, the top turret, which looks like that. So let's have a look at what we get right here. We get a better DPM than with the stock gun, which is nice. You get the same 360 alpha damage. You get a free shot autoloader with 14, 12 and 11 seconds reload time. That is actually pretty darn nifty, but 3 seconds interclip reload time. The turret is way weaker than the tier 10 one. It's only 60 millimeters. The hole is 55 and 25. So yeah, not particular interest. I think it will be an interesting vehicle nevertheless, because if you know how to play those vehicles, it will be a remarkable vehicle to use actually. So yeah, otherwise, what do we have else? Hit points 1700 is pretty good for such a tier 9 vehicle. The mobility is 17.4 HP to ton ratio, and we can even knock that up a notch with the big engine and get it up to 21. So I personally think in tier 4 tier comparison, this tier 9 tank will be much more effective than the tier 10 vehicle. To get the tier 9 vehicle, you will need quite a lot of experience. Not only do you need the 63,000 experience for the gun, you also need an additional 25,000 for the tracks, probably 48,000 for the engine, and another 24,000 for the turret. And then it is an additional 197,000 experience grind to the Progetto M40 mod 65. To get this little tank, you need 149,000 experience, and you are coming from the P.44 Pantera. So let's have a look at this vehicle, and I guess you pretty know why exactly it's called Pantera. It really has a look of a panther in it. Sadly enough, you do not want to play this tank with the stock gun, because 165mm and 195mm penetration with this stock gun is simply atrocious. Plus, you only have 2 shots in your auto reloaders, so yeah, I'm definitely not looking forward to that tank. You will need at least the gun to get good with this tank. Let's have a short look at how much or how expensive the gun is. It is 19,000 experience, at least not that much, but you need an additional 17,000 experience to get the tracks to be able to actually mount the big gun. And as before, you have 3 different engine options. Not as before, excuse me. Now we have 3 different engine options, one giving you an astounding 1000 HP. That's a lot of HP to use. So let's put this tank in its full top configuration with the second variant turret, which is actually pretty darn strongish, and the top gun. And oh boy, that top gun looks actually magnificento. No, I can't speak Italian, even though my dad can. 240 alpha damage, 212mm of penetration, which is pretty decent. 259 with APCR, which is also decent. We get a we get a free shot auto reloader now compared to the 2-shot of the stock gun, and you can see it definitely gets in length. Minus 8 degrees of gun depression. It actually gets better when you got the second turret. When you get the best turret, you get much better gun depression by 3 degrees more. You need 27 seconds, 27.8 seconds to fully reload the gun. 8 seconds for top gun is a lot. It's quite long. It is longer than the one on the premium Progetto. So yeah, we probably need to look out for that one. The DPM 1877 is actually pretty decent, and 0.33 accuracy is also not too bad. Hull armor is 80mm in the front, 50 in the side and 50 in the back, so actually pretty good. The speed is also pretty good if you think about it, that this is the stock engine. We can upgrade it to a 1000 HP to ton HP engine, and you have a 22.28 HP to ton ratio. That is magnificent. 380 meters of fuel range is pretty darn meh, especially when the tier M8 Premium Progetto has 400-meter base. I actually forgot to look here. We have 390, so it is getting up. To get the Tier 8 vehicle, which is the first one of the line with the auto reloader, you need 100,000 experience, and you come from the P.43 Ter, which is the Tier 7 vehicle, and this is how it looks. But first, let's have a look at what you will get when you are stock. You get this 140mm penetration gun, 180 with gold. It is okay. You can work around it on Tier 7. It's something like the same as the GRE, but the top gun is a little bit better with 165mm of penetration. But both are really inaccurate, so nothing compared to other Tier 7 tanks like a Panther, which is super darn accurate. So yeah, as per usual, you will need to get the better tracks, which are an additional 9,100 experience. Then you get the turret, which costs 10,000 experience, 13,700 experience for the big gun, and then you are ready to roll towards the Pantera. Now let's have a look when we are putting this tank in its full configuration. And obviously you need to get the turret and the big gun. It is actually a pretty small vehicle, so the camouflage values are not that bad. 380 meters of view range for a Tier 7 vehicle is also nifty. The 7 degrees of gun depression are also pretty nice, but nevertheless 7 seconds reload time. Yes, that could be a little bit better, but in the end it is a 240 damage gun. What is just really darn sad about it is it's really bad penetration and accuracy. If you think about it, this is a 240 damage gun, and like the Germans get the 88mm Pack L71 gun with 203mm of penetration. That's a whopping almost 40mm of penetration more. Yes, the premium rounds suck the German gun, but this one here do as well. So yeah, view range, as we already said, 380 meters is pretty decent. The armor actually looks pretty good, 100mm in the front and the turret and in the hull, and the hull is pretty nicely shaped. So there we can actually be going to bounce some stuff, so props to that one. If we even get the big engine, which gives you an additional 700, gives you 700 horsepower, this vehicle will be pretty fast on the way around. Crew-wise, everybody of those tanks has 4 crew members so far, I think. Let's have a look, 4 crew members. So yeah, that won't be changing a lot. And the Tier 10 tank will also have 4 crew members. So you will have a sweet time with your Tier 8 Progetto. So to get a Tier 7 vehicle, you need a 58,370 experience, and you come from the P.43 Bis, which apparently uses a Skoda gun with 118mm of penetration on the stock value. Then you need to get, or you get the turret, which costs you 5,000 experience, an additional 5,000 for the tracks, and then you get the sweet 240 alpha gun on Tier 6. Damn! That will be the highest alpha gun on Tier 6 medium tanks, which is not an HE gun. That is actually pretty darn strong. And armor wise, it looks like it won't be too bad either. 80mm in the front and on the turret. So yeah, let's have a look and put this tank in its full configuration with the tracks, with the turret, and with the big gun. So DPM wise, it's actually pretty good. 200 damage, 2000 DPM for a Tier 6 vehicle is pretty good. Apparently, if you use the stock gun, and you have much better gun depression, 10 degrees to be precise. But don't forget, if you get the top gun, you get 240 damage, you get better DPM, and well, you lose 3 degrees of gun depression. 7 degrees are still workable. You can still do stuff with it. And yes, 7 seconds reload time is a pretty long time, but again, 240 damage on a Tier 6 vehicle is not bad. That's actually pretty darn good. Sadly enough, the penetration sucks really badly. 180mm with gold is still not that good. HP 740 is not too bad either. 360 meters of view range, well, could be better definitely, but well, we can't get everything. If we get the big engine, which gives us 520 horsepower instead of 430, and we can share it with the tier, it looks like with the tier 6 vehicle, will also be pretty mobile on our feet, especially with the 50 kilometers top speed. So now let's move to the tier 5 vehicle, which is the P.43. But for the tier 6 vehicle, we need a whopping 25,000 experience to get. Here, as per, you will start with a tier 4 gun with 97mm of penetration, which is super bad. Then you get the 107mm penetration gun, which is a little bit better, but it looks like it is too heavy, so we need to get an additional 2,200 for the tracks. Then you will need to use 3,001 experience for the gun, 2,400 for the turret, and another 3,500 for the gun before you need the 25,000 as mentioned before for the tier 6 vehicle. But now let's have a look at this tank's statistics and stats, and it looks weird. It looks really weird. So without further ado, give it the big turret, give it the big gun in quotation marks, and oh my god, that looks so weird, this gun. But yeah, you will have 10 degrees of gun depression, 80mm frontal armor, which, well, that is actually not that bad for a tier 5 medium tank. 350 meters of fuel range, also not too bad, and if we get the big engine, well, it is also pretty fast, except for the top speed, which is only 42 kilometers per hour. It is sadly enough pretty inaccurate. DPM could also be better, but nevertheless, it's a tier 5 vehicle. Moving on to the tier 4, which will be the P.46 So in here, as per usual, you will, not per usual, but now you will need to get the tracks, but just to get the turret and to proceed more. The stock gun has 70mm of penetration. I think it is workable with 92 with the second gun. Then you get a better turret and 97 with the top gun. Then the top gun actually looks pretty good for a tier 4 vehicle in my opinion. Let's get the tracks and give it a preview. 50mm of armor, okay. You won't get that often one-shotted by tier 4 TDs or tier 4 Hetzers, I guess, if they're not shooting heat. But who knows, 350 HP is definitely not a lot. Definitely not a lot. Also, the top speed of 40 kilometers per hour is not that good either. Overall, I guess it's an okay vehicle. If you get, or if you want to get to the tier 5 vehicle quickly, you need 1,800, another 1,100, 2,200, and then the 11,800. Otherwise, you will also get the tracks for 1,000 experience. Then we get to the tier 3 vehicle, which looks like it being something, I don't know, it looks like a Stuart prototype. Pretty easy, 430 experience to get the big gun, the turret 350, 360 for the tracks. And yes, it certainly kind of looks like a Stuart, but it can't be. It has to be an Italian prototype. Why exactly? Because, let's be honest, Italia didn't really work with America together during the World War. They were on the German side. So yeah, 1,400 DPM, 10 degrees of gun depression, 45mm of armor, can probably sometimes bounce something. The turret is pretty narrow, which is cool. The 10 degrees of gun depression making it a really decent fall-down vehicle. 50mm of penetration, 50 damage and 70mm of penetration, 95 with gold. It could work, Mobility-wise, also pretty decent, but yeah. So lastly, we have two vehicles on tier 2, which is the M41, which is the medium tank. And if you have a look at it, the crew also stays the same. It almost looks the same as the previous vehicle. You will most likely need to get immediately the second gun, but you can skip through it pretty darn quickly, let's be honest about it. The big gun needs 140 experience, the next tank needs 1240 experience, so yeah, nothing really to brag about. The other vehicle is the L640, which is the only light tank in the whole tree, and it gets even a Breda caliber 20 machine gun. Whoop whoop! 270 experience to actually get this vehicle, and oh my goodness, what is that abomination? That looks so disgusting. And let's give it only has one turret, so it can get this machine gun or it can stay with the big gun which he has from the Fiat 3000. So lastly in the line, which is probably the most insignificant tank, is the Fiat 3000. It is, as you can see, it is a project like from the Renault FT. Stock gun is this 30 damage gun. The bigger gun is a little bit bigger, so yeah, it's not really much to talk about. It looks like it has a fully rotating turret. It kind of looks like it doesn't have to, but it has. So yeah, I don't really want to go deep into that tank because most people won't really play it or played like one game. And that's it. So yeah, guys, I thank you so much for watching. I hope I was able to show you a little bit this new tank tree. If so, let me know in the comment section below. It was just a little showcase. I will play some games in those tanks. I will try to get used to the Progetto, and we'll see what we can do with this vehicle. Actually, the new mechanic is pretty darn nifty, and I hope other tanks will also get this new mechanic. This was RagingRaptor, and I thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all later.